Breaking. Rob Reiner's son has just dropped a confession that nobody saw coming, and it's flipping everything we thought we knew on its head. Fans are stunned, insiders are whispering, and what was once ignored is now screaming for attention. After years of rumors, overlooked details, and carefully hidden truths, his revelation is rewriting the narrative entirely, and some say Hollywood will never look the same again. Stay locked in, because the fallout from this confession is about to hit harder than anyone imagined. From the moment the first words of the confession surfaced, a ripple ran through Hollywood, social media, and every corner of fan communities worldwide. Rob Reiner's son didn't just admit something, it exposed layers of complexity that had been buried under speculation, rumor, and deliberate oversight. Every sentence seemed to carry the weight of hidden histories, unspoken alliances, and decisions that had shaped public perception for decades. What makes this confession explosively significant isn't just the content, it's the context, the timing, and the decades-long silence that made it almost invisible until now. Industry insiders immediately noticed subtle contradictions with past statements, and when examined side by side, these inconsistencies revealed patterns previously unnoticed. Imagine decades of public assumptions collapsing in front of your eyes, and suddenly, every carefully curated story, every viral rumor, every narrative spun in glossy magazines feels incomplete or misleading. Fans who had been dissecting every interview, every social media post, and every media snippet are now revisiting those moments with a fresh, piercing lens, realizing that what they thought was trivial was actually monumental. The confession opens with a seemingly small, almost casual acknowledgement of past events, but it's a ticking time bomb that unravels much larger truths. Suddenly, courtroom-like scrutiny is being applied to interviews, press releases, and behind-the-scenes whispers. What emerges is a complex tapestry of personal struggles, miscommunications, and Hollywood's hidden power plays. Every celebrity, lawyer, and executive name mentioned in passing suddenly carries a new weight. The confession also sheds light on why certain events were dismissed by media outlets or framed in misleading ways, hinting at a mix of PR maneuvers, legal strategy, and personal reputations carefully protected. As viewers, we're left holding fragments of a much larger puzzle, and the narrative tension escalates with every passing minute. What was once treated as a footnote in entertainment news now demands a forensic-level investigation. And just when it seems like you've grasped the scope of the admission, a subtle twist emerges, something previously overlooked that reframes everything. By the end of this opening minute, the audience is already gripping their seats, realizing that what was once considered minor or unimportant is actually the key to unlocking the entire story. The confession isn't just a personal revelation, it's a catalyst forcing the world to reevaluate long-held assumptions about fame, family, and the hidden machinery of Hollywood influence. As the layers of the confession unfold, the magnitude of its impact becomes impossible to ignore. Rob Reiner's son delves into moments that were either misinterpreted or deliberately misrepresented, revealing how subtle actions and overlooked decisions had a ripple effect on careers, media narratives, and public perception. This isn't your usual celebrity tell-all or casual interview. It's a carefully calculated unpacking of events that reshapes context and forces a re-examination of everything fans thought they knew. Consider how social media posts, past interviews, and even casual remarks now take on new meaning when juxtaposed against his words. Every overlooked detail, from an ambiguous statement to an allegedly trivial public appearance, is suddenly elevated to a critical piece of a complex puzzle. The confession even hints at internal Hollywood politics, legal maneuverings, and the way family dynamics intersect with public reputation in ways the average fan could never have guessed. There's tension in every paragraph, every pause in his account is a deliberate narrative device that forces listeners to reevaluate past events in real time. And hey race, where the cinematic storytelling heightens, the audience begins to sense that certain omissions, intentional or not, were protecting powerful figures, shaping legal interpretations, or even influencing media narratives. Many reveals pepper his account, keeping viewers on edge as subtle, shocking truths emerge one by one. There's an almost tangible suspense as fans parse the implications, wondering which relationships were genuine, which actions were calculated, and which events had consequences far beyond what was ever publicized. The confession also reopens old discussions that were dismissed as fan speculation, bringing them into the realm of serious discourse, with some observers claiming it sheds light on hidden motives and strategies that were never meant to be publicly known. Each revelation loops back to the previous one, creating a chain reaction of reconsideration. The story is no longer linear, it's a web of interlinked truths, half-truths, and revelations, all demanding deeper scrutiny. And just when you think you're reaching clarity, the narrative adds another layer of bombshell that challenges assumptions, adds suspense, and ensures viewers stay hooked, unable to look away. By the midpoint of the confession, the story takes on a pulse-pounding intensity that feels less like a casual interview and more like stepping into the middle of a high-stakes Hollywood courtroom thriller, where every word carries consequences and every pause could be masking another revelation. Rob Reiner's son doesn't just recount events, he paints vivid, intricate pictures of interactions that, at the time, seemed insignificant but now, under the weight of his confession, read like carefully coded signals, each one layered with hidden meaning and unspoken tension. Social media exchanges that were brushed off as mundane now feel like critical pieces of a puzzle. Tweets sent with precise timing, ambiguous posts liked or ignored by key players. Even Instagram stories that were meant to seem casual suddenly crack open like secret doors to an unseen world of strategy, influence, and carefully managed perception. It's here, in these subtle moments, that the confession begins to reveal the machinery behind the polished Hollywood image, and viewers start to feel like they're witnessing the skeleton of a carefully constructed facade being stripped away piece by piece. What makes this confession truly mesmerizing is the way it intertwines personal vulnerability with scandalous insight, creating a tension that's both emotional and intellectual. Rob Reiner's son reflects on the weight of family legacy, the pressures of public scrutiny, and the invisible strings that seem to guide every action, every statement, and every interaction within his circle. These aren't just casual anecdotes. They are precise, deliberate revelations that expose how decisions made behind closed doors rippled across social media, interviews, press tours, and even legal filings. Every name dropped, whether an actor, a director, or an executive, feels calculated, and yet the emotion behind it is raw, creating a dichotomy between professional narrative control and human vulnerability that keeps viewers perched on the edge of their seats. Imagine reading an interview where each sentence simultaneously offers a revelation and an emotional confession, and you begin to understand why fans, journalists, and industry insiders alike are scrambling to recontextualize everything from years of public statements to decades of industry behavior. As the narrative deepens, the confession masterfully injects many reveals at strategic moments, looping back to previously mentioned events while reframing them in a way that changes their significance entirely. A casual dinner with industry figures, for example, isn't just a social event, it becomes a revealing tableau of alliances, whispered agendas, and subtle negotiations that had long-term implications for careers and reputations. A statement in an old interview that once seemed innocuous now glows with hidden meaning, as if illuminated under a spotlight, showing that every word spoken or published was part of a larger, often unrecognized, narrative. Viewers begin to perceive the careful orchestration behind public appearances, the quiet maneuvers designed to control perception, and the subtle influence of power dynamics that had always been operating just beneath the surface. The confession doesn't merely tell, it shows, creating mental images so vivid that fans feel transported into these moments, experiencing the tension, the stakes, and the emotional undertones alongside Rob Reiner's son. Suspense is further heightened by the strategic ambiguity embedded in the confession. At several points, he hints at deeper, undisclosed truths, details that are too sensitive or consequential to reveal fully, but whose mere existence sets off alarm bells in the minds of the audience. This technique keeps viewers engaged, their curiosity piqued, as they speculate about what remains hidden. The narrative is a carefully wound clock, and each subtle pause, each half-revealed incident acts like a ticking second, building anticipation and ensuring viewers remain tethered to every sentence, desperate to understand the full picture. Even longtime fans of Rob Reiner, Hollywood insiders, and casual viewers feel the pull of these suspense loops, unable to scroll away because the promise of the next revelation looms just ahead, tantalizingly close yet intentionally obscured. What truly elevates this confession to cinematic status is the way it captures the emotional stakes while simultaneously unraveling complex social, familial, and industry dynamics. The audience witnesses moments of raw honesty, where Rob Reiner's son reflects on personal mistakes, misunderstandings, and the weight of carrying a family legacy under constant public scrutiny. These emotional confessions are interlaced with explosive revelations about Hollywood politics, PR strategies, and legal intricacies, creating a multi-layered narrative that operates simultaneously on emotional, social, and investigative levels. A seemingly trivial conflict with a celebrity or a misinterpreted comment during a press tour now feels like a chess move in a larger game of influence and reputation management, making the audience rethink every past interaction through this newly revealed lens. Additionally, the confession shines a light on the ways certain facts were systematically ignored or dismissed in the past. Statements once labeled as overreactions or fan speculation are now reinterpreted as significant signals pointing to hidden truths, showing how media narratives, public perception, and Hollywood's own protective machinery often worked in tandem to bury inconvenient realities. This revelation alone drives a cinematic tension. Viewers feel the thrill of discovery alongside the frustration of realizing how much had been overlooked, creating a compelling emotional roller coaster. The narrative also uses repetition strategically, looping back to earlier details, but now in a new light, forcing viewers to constantly recalibrate their understanding. A social media post that seemed like nothing suddenly aligns with a disclosed event, creating the sense that every prior piece of information was a breadcrumb leading to this confession. Each loop reinforces suspense and maintains viewer engagement, as audiences are compelled to stitch together the threads themselves, feeling like active participants in unraveling a major Hollywood mystery. By the end of this paragraph, the tension has escalated to a fever pitch. The confession has moved beyond mere revelation. It's now a live, breathing exposé, revealing the delicate balance of reputation, secrecy, and human emotion that governs Hollywood. Viewers are left questioning the narratives they've accepted, the judgments they've made, and the hidden stories that have shaped public perception for years. And just when it feels like the story could pause, another subtle, explosive detail is dropped, forcing the audience to lean forward, replay moments in their minds, and speculate on what's coming next, perfectly setting up the final layers of the confession in paragraph 4. Every second, every phrase is designed to maximize suspense, retention, and emotional engagement, making this confession not just a story, but an experience, one that feels like witnessing the climax of a real-life Hollywood thriller unfold in real time. As the confession reaches its most critical layers, the tension shifts from revelation to reckoning, creating a narrative intensity that feels like a high-stakes Hollywood courtroom drama colliding with a deeply personal family exposé. Rob Reiner's son doesn't simply recount past events. He dissects them with surgical precision, exposing the intricate mechanisms of perception, influence, and control that governed every move, decision, and statement surrounding him and his family. What initially appears as isolated incidents, a heated exchange during a press junket, a misinterpreted social media comment, or an allegedly minor dispute at an awards afterparty, suddenly reveals itself as a carefully interwoven web of cause and effect, one that affected careers, relationships, and public perception in ways the outside world had never comprehended. With every revelation, viewers begin to grasp the immense pressure of growing up in a household entwined with Hollywood power, legacy, and expectation, and how even seemingly trivial actions can have reverberating consequences when viewed through the lens of fame. The confession becomes less about individual mistakes and more about systemic forces, the subtle, often invisible hands of PR teams, agents, and legal advisors shaping public narratives, managing crises, and protecting reputations, all while personal truth struggled to surface. In this paragraph, the narrative tension is relentless, looping back to earlier revelations while introducing new layers of shock and suspense. For instance, Rob Reiner's son recounts a series of interactions with key figures in Hollywood, friends, former collaborators, and even rivals that at first glance seemed inconsequential. A casual meeting at a private event is now revealed to have included discussions with hidden agendas, strategic positioning, and off-the-record exchanges that influenced everything from casting decisions to public narratives about the family. These mini-reveals are delivered with deliberate pacing, allowing the audience to absorb each nuance and immediately begin questioning what they had previously accepted as fact. The confession also exposes how selectively curated public appearances and interviews were used to mask tension and maintain the appearance of cohesion, while beneath the surface, intricate interpersonal dynamics and conflicting motivations were at play. Each revelation reinforces the cinematic sensation of peeling back layers of Hollywood secrecy, leaving viewers feeling as if they are uncovering a series of hidden chambers filled with long-suppressed truths. What elevates this section to dramatic brilliance is the way personal vulnerability intersects with high-stakes scandal. Rob Reiner's son shares moments of deep introspection, reflecting on the psychological toll of carrying unspoken truths while witnessing how easily facts could be distorted or ignored. He recalls private moments where he tried to clarify misunderstandings, only to find that those clarifications were reframed or lost amidst the chaos of public perception. These personal confessions are juxtaposed against explosive industry revelations, creating a constant tension between intimate emotional stakes and the larger, almost theatrical drama of Hollywood power plays. This duality not only keeps viewers engaged, but also heightens emotional resonance, making the audience feel invested on a personal and analytical level. Every anecdote, whether about miscommunication, suppressed information, or carefully managed public appearances, loops back to prior events, reinforcing suspense while amplifying curiosity about what other hidden truths remain unrevealed. The confession also strategically revisits moments that were previously dismissed by media outlets or fans. A comment once interpreted as flippant now carries the weight of intent. A previously ignored event now becomes a critical pivot point in understanding the broader narrative. Rob Reiner's son explains how misinterpretations, oversights, and intentional obfuscations created a domino effect, influencing not only the perception of his family, but also broader Hollywood narratives and media reporting practices. This retrospective reframing challenges viewers to question assumptions they may have made in the past and encourages them to reconsider how truth, perception, and legacy intersect in a world where appearances are meticulously engineered. Suspense is maintained throughout by his hints at even larger, undisclosed layers of the story, details that are not revealed for legal or personal reasons, but whose existence adds a persistent sense of tension and curiosity, ensuring the audience remains fully engaged. The paragraph also underscores the consequences of truth being ignored or distorted. Rob Reiner's son illustrates how the failure to acknowledge certain realities, whether due to media oversight, PR control, or personal hesitation, had cascading effects on relationships, reputations, and public discourse. Fans and insiders alike are forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew, which statements were accurate, which were manipulated, and which truths had been buried intentionally or inadvertently. This creates an emotionally charged suspense loop, as each new detail calls back to previous events and forces viewers to mentally reconstruct the sequence of events, filling in gaps, connecting dots, and anticipating further revelations. The confession's narrative structure itself is designed for high retention. The audience is constantly prompted to question, reassess, and remain fully attentive, knowing that each subsequent sentence could redefine everything revealed so far. Moreover, the confession delves into the psychological dimensions of public life under scrutiny. Rob Reiner's son candidly shares how it felt to grow up in an environment where actions were constantly observed, dissected, and interpreted, and how this reality shaped his responses, relationships, and public persona. He also exposes how certain individuals, lawyers, publicists, and even friends played subtle but pivotal roles in shaping outcomes, managing crises, and steering the narrative to serve interests that were sometimes at odds with the truth. By combining these emotional, psychological, and procedural elements, the paragraph creates a multidimensional narrative that operates simultaneously on personal, professional, and societal levels. It's cinematic storytelling at its peak. Tension is omnipresent, stakes feel monumental, and the audience is continuously drawn deeper into the unfolding drama. As the paragraph progresses, many reveals and suspense loops keep building. A previously mentioned PR maneuver is revealed to have had far-reaching consequences. An overlooked social interaction now sheds light on hidden allegiances. A legal consultation, once thought minor, now appears pivotal in shaping the family's public image. These interlinked revelations reinforce the narrative's cinematic quality, keeping viewers engaged in a constant cycle of speculation, analysis, and emotional investment. Each revelation triggers the next, creating a seamless chain of intrigue that pushes the story forward while maintaining a suspenseful rhythm. By the end, viewers are not only deeply invested in understanding what has happened, but are emotionally primed to witness the final consequences and ultimate clarity in the concluding segment. By the conclusion of this paragraph, the confession has transformed from a series of anecdotes into an immersive exposé that simultaneously entertains, informs, and shocks. Rob Reiner's son has achieved what few could. He has peeled back layers of perception, secrecy, and strategy to reveal the interplay between personal truth and public narrative in Hollywood. Viewers are left reeling. With a sense of both resolution and anticipation, the confession has answered some questions while opening the door to new ones, creating a tension that naturally flows into the final, dramatic conclusion. Each loop, mini-reveal, and emotional confession has been meticulously crafted to maximize engagement, retention, and curiosity, ensuring that the audience remains not just interested but emotionally tethered to the story, ready to confront the ultimate implications of one of the most shocking celebrity revelations in recent memory. This confession is more than a revelation, it's a seismic shift that forces fans, insiders, and casual observers alike to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about Rob Reiner, his family, and the intricate web of Hollywood secrecy. It's a story of power, truth, manipulation, and human complexity, wrapped in a narrative that keeps delivering new shocks at every turn. As you reflect on these revelations, the question becomes, what other truths have been hidden, overlooked, or misunderstood? How much of Hollywood history is shaped by carefully managed appearances rather than reality? This is your chance to engage. Drop your thoughts, theories, and reactions in the comments because the conversation is only just beginning. And if you want to stay on the cutting edge of Hollywood scandals, courtroom drama, and legal exposes, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with anyone who needs to see the story unfold in real time. The confession may have ended, but the impact is only growing, and missing this conversation could mean missing one of the most dramatic revelations of our time. Stay tuned, stay curious, and get ready for the fallout.